to welcome back, WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and WNST.net. If you're watching that on Facebook Live and our YouTube WNSTV channel, you know that Brian Sanderoff from Curio Wellness has gotten me a new hat. He and I have gone back and forth about the O and the Curio and the logo. You know, if I wore the hat backwards, though, Brian, it wouldn't look right. I mean, and beyond that, the light would sort of work on my eyes. But I am wearing the Curio hat. I'm also wearing my Chicken Palooza hat for my friends at Royal Farms. I did not get the new shirt, but it's last year's model. How are you? Happy summer. It's been a little while, right? So, I did my Hall of Fame thing, and I appreciate the sponsorship from Curio and everybody else that kept us alive and afloat and listening to all of our old wacky nostalgia stuff. But I'm back on the beat here, and I know you're out there doing your thing at Curio, but it's also exciting for you because it's football season, and I can wear my purple Curio shirt beginning next week, right?
That is exciting. Yeah, we're going to get those purple shirts out of storage and get them ready for sale again.
Feels like you just put them away, though, doesn't it? Sort of, kind of?
Say it again?
It feels like you just put them away, right? I mean,
I know. Yes, it does. Well, that's because we had a little bit of an extended season last year, didn't we?
Yeah. And somebody wrote on my Facebook, and look, in recent times with the Baltimore stuff going on, people have been writing all sorts of things, but they're like, the Orioles suck and the Ravens suck. And I'm like, whoa. You can kick on the Orioles all you want, but the Ravens won the division last year, and you may like Joe more than Lamar. Hey, Joe won a Super Bowl. I like Joe more than I like Lamar, right? I mean, I'll let you know how I like Lamar when he wins, right? But so far, so good. He's been the quarterback 8 weeks, and, we've done okay so far, so I don't know why all the down feeling about it, but I definitely feel from a fan standpoint, from people hitting me wanting to go out to camp, even these preseason games and the practice last week, that I think there is more energy for the Ravens this year. You would agree with that?
Oh, no question about it. I'm actually really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a fun season. It's going to be a little bit of a different season, but I think the potential is there for us to win 11, 12 games maybe, or do just the opposite, but either way, it's going to be fun, I think.
Kind of like when you're a Curio, man. You need a menu. You need to figure out what's going on. I need a scorecard with these Raven players. Marlon Humphrey changing numbers. So, and we know in these first couple preseason games, we're not going to see a whole lot, but we're going to see more of the offense than we ever did with Joe, I would think. So for that, we'll be watching Jacksonville, Green Bay. Brian Sanderoff here from Curio Wellness. All right, man, let's get to the bottom line here. It's been a long summer. I know you do tons of events over there, and more than anything, this is sort of like a curriculum for you, right? Like coming from pharmacy to holistic, now to cannabis and education and wellness and all the stuff you're doing out there in York Road. You're putting together, you have a classroom literally on campus there at York Road, just south of Timonium Road. And I know how much you like doing these evening things. This is sort of like your little laboratory to put together these really cool events and nightly events for men, women, older people, younger people trying to experience cannabis, CBD, and understanding all of this. But it really starts with, like, the plant, right? It starts with CBD, right?
It does. Well, it starts with understanding how this medicine works within the body. And so with all of our classes, we're always talking a little bit about biochemistry so people can understand. It still astounds me that this stuff is not getting taught in our medical training. I certainly didn't learn about it in pharmacy school, but I figured, hey, I'm an old guy. I went to school in the early 80s. They must be teaching it now, but they're still not.
Well, the body hasn't changed. It's just how we view it 40 years later, right?
Yeah, I mean, we discover new things all the time, but medicine is traditionally very slow in adopting new things and new understandings, and so this is an issue here because this system of receptor sites in the body, the endocannabinoid system, NIH recently came out with a statement saying that virtually all human disease, one way or another, is related to this very complex set of receptor sites. And so It's important for us to know about it. And, you know me, my thing is taking it to the streets. And so I just want to educate people about it. In the fall, we've got, our regular classes, the medical cannabis 101 and that kind of thing. But we've got some specialty classes coming up that we're really interested in. We're excited about. One of them is about migraines. One of them is about just the change of season and what that means for people. As you had mentioned, we've done some women's support groups or some women panel. We'll do that again in the fall. We're going to do another panel that I'm actually really excited about that has to do with mental illness, because we have quite a few patients and some employees of Curio who suffer from various mental illnesses, whether you're talking about anxiety or depression or OCD or worse, and cannabis has been life-saving for them. And so I thought it'd be really important and really different to have a panel of patients and Curio employees that suffer from various mental illnesses to talk about their experience in using cannabis and what it's meant for them in their lives.
Well, it's incredible, too, where mental illness was something 10 years ago. Maybe once a year somebody would come on. You'd have the nerd doctor or whatever on. Really, I think in the modern era of the internet, over the last 10, 12 years, more and more people have come out to talk about it, to hashtag it, to be out in front of it in a benefit to everyone, quite frankly. And, I think there's a whole different – there was a stigma associated with it as well as the products you sell that has changed dramatically over the last decade.
It really has, and specifically with cannabis and mental illness, there is still the thought out there that if you do have some sort of mental illness, you need to avoid cannabis, and that is not the case at all. What the case is that you have to use it appropriately.
Well, that goes back to like reefer madness, and your face is going to turn green, and you're going to become an axe murderer. Like all that stuff that's 100 years old, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right, and was never true from a medical perspective anyways. And so, it's just about educating people, and it really kind of brings home my theory that I just want people to use this medicine in a guided way, and that's what we're about here at Curio.
Dude, I'm looking on your calendar here. You're having a lot of fun with this and doing these events at night and teaching people about this. But I look down and see September 23rd, I see yoga and acupuncture workshop. When it says yoga, that gets my attention. Now, acupuncture, I don't like. My wife's diabetic, right? So she gives herself like real needles every day. I watch her stab herself 2-3 times a day. I'm afraid of needles, deathly afraid. But I got onto acupuncture about 15 years ago. My girl Rhonda gave me some pins, and I learned to work with that. And I guess thinking about that in relation to cannabis, when you talk about receptor sites and things that change your mojo, change your chi, move you around a little bit, move your state of mind. Talk about what you're doing there with yoga and acupuncture out at Curio.
Yeah, it's really cool. So what a lot of people don't realize is that we actually have an entire spa here at Curio, a wellness spa. So we have acupuncture, we have massage, we have estheticians, and oftentimes the practitioners here will offer classes to help educate people as well. And so the acupuncturist that we have here, Rebecca King, is absolutely amazing. I use her myself for acupuncture, and she's an excellent teacher as well. And so they've put together this thing that they've done 3 or 4 times since we've opened up, where they actually, in the teaching space, combine that movement of yoga, the stretching, the meditative state, along with acupuncture. And the two are very powerful individually. When you add them up, even more powerful.
Brian Sanderoff's been my friend for going on a quarter of a century. He is at a Curio Wellness, dispensing education and some wisdom, as well as a nice events calendar you can find out at CurioWellness.com. Learn about all that they're doing. York Road, just south of Timonium Road, and stop in, say hello, learn a little bit, and certainly holistic products throughout the lobby, as well as the spa and the cannabis and cannabis education on the calendar. Dude, any Oriole games for you, or no, you're just like, are you on sabbatical from all things Orioles here? I mean, I'll be honest. I put the game on again. I put it on. I keep putting it on, and I even like Ben McDonald. When Ben's calling the game, I always sort of stay in because I covered those teams, and I'm just a Ben fan. I always enjoyed Ben, and remember the largeness of his number 1 pick 30 years ago. Started dating all of us at 30 years, but it's been a weird month, right? Like Messina goes in the Hall of Fame, Ed Reed goes in the Hall of Fame, and the Orioles play every night, but I'm not sure when or why, and no one seems to know or care. I mean, I had a friend who's a Yankee fan who was at the game Tuesday night. It looked like there were 8,000 people in the stadium and 6,000 of them were Yankee fans.
Yeah, it's just the way it is. I'm laughing when you talk about Ben McDonald because I remember, now, and like you said, this is going back 30 years. I remember when he was brought up, and I remember instantly getting on the phone and trying to pick him up in my rotisserie league at the time. And, back then things weren't automated, and so you had to call the guy.
Well, you probably had to fax it in. No, they didn't have fax machines yet. It was 89.
No, they had fax machines. But, yeah, you had to call them in, and you had to be the first one to claim them, and you had to be, back in the old rotisserie days. But anyways, yeah.
It's funny you'd say that, Bri, because there's not a time. And honestly, and whenever I go to Ocean City, I was in Ocean City twice this summer. We're going back in a couple weeks. A friend of ours has a beautiful cat down there that we cat sit on a weekend sometimes, and it's a nice place on 12th Street. So, and I go to Ocean City. Every time I'm down there, I drive down the coastal. Every girl I ever met, every beer I ever drank, every beach I ever laid on, every volleyball game I ever got in, right? All of my childhood, Jolly Roger, everything, right, comes back to me. But there's a plaza where, I think Samantha's was in the plaza, 45th Street, 37th Street, wherever it is. Well, 45th Street. So in that plaza, there was a cookout. I think it was called the Great American Cookout, where you would grill your own steaks back in the 80s. I was in that joint grilling a steak on the night when Ben McDonald came out of the bullpen on Home Team Sports with my buddy John Raffalides. And, that's how crazy sports is that I don't ever pass that plaza. And I think I met some girls in that plaza and had good times in that plaza as well. But whenever I pass that plaza, I look and I'm like, that's where I was sitting when Ben McDonald came in the game. I was grilling a filet medium rare. And it's been 30 years. And I can't remember what I ate at Ruth's Chris last week, you know what I mean? But I can remember that. And Ben McDonald's brings back that part of, hey, look, the Orioles are celebrating the Why Not Summer. And I'm thinking to myself, Bri, is there another franchise that would celebrate the year they didn't win other than the
Orioles? Only when you haven't won since, that's all.
Oh, man. I was at Chi-Chi's that night that Olsen threw the pitch and Milwaukee with the nail, and I don't ever run into Dave Johnson without bringing. I'm geezing about the Orioles past because it doesn't feel like there's any present, right?
Yeah, that's the frustrating thing about it. My girlfriend is an Orioles fan, and so I may actually make it to a game before the end of the season. We'll see. Hey, I know you're a music guy. Indigo Girls at all?
I've interviewed them.
Yeah, I'm going to see them in Boulder on Friday.
Boulder, Colorado?
Boulder, Colorado.
Now, there's a town. I have a recommendation for you for breakfast. You want to eat at Snooze AM is what you want to do downtown. And you definitely want to get the pineapple upside-down pancakes, but you can't go wrong on that menu. So make sure you're doing that in Boulder, Colorado. Brian Sanderoff joining us here, Curio Wellness. On the calendar and the stuff that you guys are doing into the fall, the basic 101 class for you, is that sort of a building block thing? For anybody listening out there, look, there's so many places to get cannabis education these days, right? And so many places that dispense of it. And, in anybody's experience, not a very difficult thing, right, to get a card, but it's a very difficult thing to understand how all of this works because there is so much education out there. And I tell everyone, call Brian, go in, check it out. I think that your way with this and the way that people come to it, it really is a difference maker as to whether this is something you want to use in your life, right?
Yeah, no question about it. And, the changes that we've seen in people's lives and people's health has just been astounding, and it needs to be used properly because you can go the wrong way with it as well. One of the things that is out there these days, you can't drive down any major thoroughfare, including York Road, without seeing big CBD signs. I'm talking about even at gas stations or convenience stores. And so
I saw them all over Manhattan, by the way.
Right.
Literally, I was in New York last week. Everybody sells CBD, right?
Yep. And so not all CBDs are created equal. And so just like we are the go-to place. Oh, and by the way, I don't know if you saw this, but the Daily Record had their Baltimore best kind of stuff, and we were, voted as the best dispensary in Maryland from the Daily Record. That was kind of cool.
I told them to do that. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
I appreciate that. I was wondering where it came from. But just like we're the experts with cannabis and medical education, it's the same thing with CBD. We are the experts, and so and here's a little secret that we do that no one else has the ability to do because we grow and process, and because in our process facility we actually have a lab. We test the CBD products that we get in here. And so even though a company, and even though some of these companies are big, well-known companies, even though they say X amount of CBD per capsule or per dropper full or whatever, it's not necessarily the case. And there are companies that we have tested that did not live up to our Curio standards, the same standards that we would use with all of our cannabis products. And so not only do we require testing for all of the companies, but we actually do our own testing to verify what we want to know. And so when you come into Curio, and again, you don't need to be a cannabis patient to use the hemp-derived CBD products. We've got a variety of different ones, all sorts of different, dosage forms. We're talking about capsules or chews or tinctures and all sorts of different flavors and strengths. So if people are interested in CBD but want to make sure they're using it appropriately, again, coming to Curio is the way to go.
He is Brian Sanderoff. Education's at the front door there at Curio Wellness, York Road, just south of Timonium Road, and, of course, always at CurioWellness.com. I've got the hat. I'll go back to the purple shirt next week for you. It's long sleeve, though, dude. It's still August. You know what I mean?
It is.
Sometimes my wife keeps the studio like an ice box in here, like a Tony Robbins seminar. But, we're getting through the summer here, okay? I'm looking forward to getting together with you next time, and we will be talking some football for real here in a couple weeks. No more fake football, right?
Oh, man, I'm so excited for that. I'm finally juiced.
Fake football and real CBD information. There you go.
There you go.
CurioWellness.com. Our friend Brian Sanderoff. Find him out, and also Facebook Living and doing some cool educational stuff out there. Check him out on the calendar and the events there as well. I am in the buyatoyota.com audio vault, all of the nostalgia, all the Hall of Fame stuff out there. It is a Baltimore Positive weekend ahead here. If you've missed any of the upward of 40 episodes of Baltimore Positive Don Moeller and I put together, we will be airing them over the weekend. So make sure you check that out as we get ready for football season around here. Nasty at WNST.net finds me. I am on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and Snapchat and Instagram. And everywhere they stream, we are WNST.net, AM 1570. At WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports and Baltimore Positive.